Hey everybody, my name's Aaron. Welcome back to the channel. Well, this is a little bit different venue for me here today, as you can tell. I'm actually at a convention here in San Jose, California called California Extreme. If you've ever dreamed about going to an arcade and being able to play any game you wanted without spending a single quarter, you're in luck today, because I'm going to show you what's here behind me. We'll go in and check out what games are here and talk a little bit about the event in general. It's coming up right now on the Retro Hack Shack. Well, let's head inside and check this place out. As I mentioned, this is an event. It's a 2-day event that happens in summertime here in San Jose, California, and it's called California Extreme. And as you can see, it's all about arcade games and pinball and console machines. And it's about reliving those experiences we had as a child, or perhaps finding a game that you've never played before, but you've always wanted to try. So it's not just about arcade games, as you can see, it's also about pinball machines, but it's fun. You can just browse around. All the games are set on free play, so you can just walk up, press 1 player or 2 player if that's your thing, and you can start playing a game like this. This is Galaga 88. Great game, and you can just go from machine to machine and play to your heart's content. Now, I don't want to give the wrong impression. Of course, there is a set fee when you come in, because obviously the event has to pay to rent the space and get all these games. But once you get in there, you can just play and play and play. Now, this is footage from last year's event. And so we were all still wearing masks, and we're in the middle of COVID, but they still found it some way to put the event on, and we all had a great time. I ended up going with my son and a few friends, and we stayed the better part of a day and just experienced all the arcade games that we loved when we were kids. And it's not just about the old games. Here are some brand new pinball games about the Mandalorian, the Avengers, and even a new Street Fighter pinball game. I had the opportunity to sit down with Mark Birsching, one of the longtime organizers of the event, and ask him a few questions. So, Mark, thanks for joining me today.
You're welcome.
First of all, what is your role, your official role with California Extreme?
I'm one of the organizers. I would guess best way I put it is second banana.
And how long have you been involved?
Since about 2000, I think.
Wow, long time.
I've been to every show. I just didn't start helping for about the first 3-4 years. It started in 1997, September.
Wow, that's awesome. Has it grown every year? Is it one of those things that just gets bigger and bigger, or?
Generally, it has grown, except for a few weird years, especially like the last couple of years.
Yeah, of course. So, Mark, what do you do for your day job?
I am a controller in a small company, and basically there's 2 or 3 of us in finance, actually 2, and we do all the finance work for the company.
That's quite different than hosting. Well, I don't know about hosting the event, but certainly different than playing games on pinball machines and arcade machines.
Well, you got to have a hobby that's completely different, don't you?
For sure, for sure. Has this been kind of a lifelong interest for you, or how did you get started in playing arcade games and to the point that you were interested in actually helping out with an event like this?
I got to back up a little bit. I've been playing pinball since I was like 8 years old, basically before video games even existed. And even the electromechanical ones weren't that many of them around yet. So all the way through high school, college, and everything, I used to just play pinball a lot and a few video games. And then one thing led to another. When I went to my second California Extreme, I ended up buying a pinball machine. And then a couple of years later, I bought another and another. Between my video games and my pinball machines, I have about 80 of them.
Wow.
So, but as things went along and California Extreme started, I'd never seen a show like that before, because it was there weren't that many of those. And I just I want to help. The first show I brought some games, I ended up helping at the front desk because they needed help. And I said, I kind of like this. So I started volunteering, and you know how that goes.
Yep. I absolutely do. So you have where do you keep all of these machines?
They're other people's houses. They're in a warehouse. They're in a storage unit. They're a bunch of them in my place where I live here. I got like 18 machines in the house here. So.
Wow. I think your story is fairly similar to a lot of my audience, which collects vintage computers and game systems and things like that. You kind of one thing leads to another. You get interested in that nostalgic thing, right? And you start buying a few, and then all of a sudden you're looking for them everywhere, and you want to fill out your collection. And before you know it, you're in my case, it's just my garage that's filled up with this stuff, right? In your case, you've got quite a bit more real estate to cover there.
Yeah.
Now, is your collection the only collection at the event? Where do you get all of these machines?
From a lot of people, staff. And when I say staff, I'm thinking of Ken, TJ, Jonathan, and maybe a couple other people. Bring maybe around 200 machines from our own collections. Ken and TJ have an immense collection of hundreds of games, including a lot of old ones. And actually, Ken is the owner of the show. So he's the head honcho, if you will. And the rest come from people who want to come to the show and share. We get a lot of people who volunteer to bring games. They bring them, set them up, let them be played all weekend, and then take them back home. Sometimes they sell them or whatever. So it's the community. It's definitely a community effort. It's not just one person bringing all the games. There's no way I could move 600 games. Trust me.
That's one of the things that I've been now 3 or 4 times. And it's one of the things that I love about the event is as soon as you walk into a room or arrive at the event, you know that you're in good company, right? These are my people. It's like you see people wearing the t-shirts, which is something else I want to talk to you about. And you see people just enjoying these games that they played, and new generations too. I brought my son and his friend a couple of times, and they go and play those older systems, sometimes the newer pinball machines and things like that. And they have, a lot of fun, even though a lot of these machines were built, 20 years before they were born or more, right? So I think it really appeals to all ages as well. Now, I've got to ask about the t-shirts because something that I see on the website and hear people saying is, oh, I've got t-shirts from every year. Is this an annual thing? Is there an annual t-shirt every year that people can buy?
There has been a t-shirt, I think, every show. Some shows up to about 4 or 5.
Wow.
We ask people to help. We have several people that have designed t-shirts and then print them up and sell them.
Even for people that aren't wearing the t-shirts from the show, you look around, I think we all are kind of in the t-shirt and jeans kind of wear that we like to wear on a daily basis. So it's perfect for that. Now, sometimes these machines do break down, and that's a great reason to visit our sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay offers inexpensive PCB manufacturing and a whole lot more. Need assembly services? No problem. They can do front side, back side, through-hole components, you name it. They also offer 3D printing, CNC milling, and more. So check out PCBWay for your next project, and I thank them for their support of the Retro Hack Shack. What's hard that people might not realize when they come to an event like this, how much work goes into it or whatever?
Well, I like several examples. One is logistics. The logistics team, which there are several people that are in charge of that, and that's all they do, have to draw up floor plans. They have to squeeze everything in. They have to make everybody happy. Invariably what happens in our show, everything shows up on Friday night late, and then we're running around trying to squeeze things in at the last moment.
Yeah.
The other thing that can be difficult is administration, which is more my side. For example, dealing with fire permits. Where we have to pull a fire permit. Also, the electrical. We can't just do our own electrical. We have to hire a union shop to pull all those stringers and get everything out there. So it takes a lot of work. And of course, coordination, because they need the floor plan and the fire department needs the floor plan, And then there's just a lot of administrabilia as it were. And I know Ken, for example, getting the speakers together.
It works out really well. I know, there's areas for vendors. There's areas for console gaming, for example. There's areas for speakers. And then, of course, you have the really large rooms for all of the pinball and arcade games, right?
Right.
Do you have any idea about demographics? How far away do people come for this event, and how many people show up usually?
Well, we don't give out attendance figures, but as far as demographics, there's a lot of them in the area, but there are people who have come from Australia, from across the world, from England, from Sweden, a few here and there, and a lot of people from across the country. Now, again, the core group is probably mostly within a couple 100 miles of where we are.
Right.
A lot of people just come in for the weekend,
So, Mark, I just want to ask, as a longtime pinball aficionado and doing an event like this, I'm kind of curious what your take is on video pinball and emulation. Are those controversial subjects, or is it everyone's just like, yeah, the more the merrier?
Some people, it's controversial. Some people, it's controversial if it's not an electromechanical pinball and it's a solid state. It just depends who you run into. I've played video pinballs. I played emulations before I got Ford pinball machines. I used to play them all the time on my computer. I have no problems with them. It may not be the same, but I find the real pinball is actually more satisfying because you can't emulate certain things about pinball. The biggest thing is being the lag. You push the button on the computer and it doesn't flip fast enough. For some people, that's all they can afford. I know of a guy who has about 7 or 8 arcade one-ups in his garage because that's all the space he's got, and he loves it. Well, I'm not going to say, well, they're not real machines. I'm not going to say that. They're just a little smaller and all that, and some people would be very picky. I have a Fireball home professional pinball. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those. They sell home use only. It's a little bit smaller and it's from Bally. And there are people that would say, it's not a pinball. It's not a pinball. It doesn't count. I think it counts. It works just fine. We want to basically cover or embrace everything. That's why when people wanted to bring console games, I said, sure, go ahead. Some people think the Atari games, the 2600, that's not video games, But before I had pinball machines, I used to own a 2600 with about 50 or 60 cartridges. Because in those days, I was a teacher, and one of my students' dads worked at Atari, and I would get the cartridges about 2 weeks before anybody else did, before they even on sale.
Wow.
So,
Nice.
so that kind of helped too. I have the real ones now too, of course, which probably play better. But you know what? You can still have fun with it. If it's something you enjoy, go for it.
So, Mark, I think the event is coming up. For those that catch this video early enough and want to get tickets and come, where should they go for more information, and where is the event this year?
The website is www.caextreme.org. On there, you can find where you can buy tickets, where you can get rooms for the hotel. It has all the information about the show. The show is July 30th and 31st, 2022. It's at the Hyatt Regency Santa Clara, which is, if you know where Levi Stadium is or you know where Great America is, it's easy to find. It's part of the Santa Clara. The hotel is part of the Santa Clara Convention Center. So even though the hotel is where we tell you to go, you just go right through the door and you're in the convention center. And it's on Saturday. It's going to be from 11 in the morning till 2 in the morning. So it runs like 15 hours. And if you pre-purchase your tickets, you get in at 10 o'clock. And also you save $5 off the admission cost. On Sunday, you're going to be open from 11 o'clock, or if you buy it early, 10 o'clock until 9 p.m. And then the games have to go home. If you want to buy tickets, just click on the tickets link. It'll take you to an online version, or it takes you to a form you can download and mail it in. We do have a deadline of July 8th to get the pre-registered, if you want to be pre-registered, because I have to do things like badges and all this stuff.
And that can be pretty important too, right? Because when the doors open and everybody comes in, obviously, if you don't pre-register, you'll not get the discount and stuff, but also you have to wait in line sometimes to get your ticket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes, depending on things go, the door line can get kind of long. We go pretty fast, but it does take time, especially if 100 people show up all at once.
Exactly.
Pre-reg kind of cuts down on some of that. So.
Yeah. Yep. Good opportunity there. I'm glad you offer that. And for any of my viewers that are watching this and it's after that date, I mean, this is an annual event, right? So hopefully we can put COVID behind us at some point, but barring any natural disasters and things, I mean, you typically do this every year. So, and you announce the event spring, summer, so they have time to plan for it.
This year we waited a little bit because we were still waiting to see what COVID was going to do. But normally after Christmas.
Well, it's a great event. I encourage anyone that's able to come to the event. And for me, it was just like nostalgia overload the first time I went, because it was like, oh, I remember that game. That's my favorite pinball game. So, it was just great. And like I said, everyone is super nice. I'll mention this earlier, but all the machines are on free play. You just go pay a set price and just have fun for the whole day. So I encourage anyone to come that wants to. And thank you for your time, Mark. And thanks to, like I said, not just you, but all the people that are responsible for putting this on. It's not easy work, but you're doing us a great favor by helping us relive our childhood and enjoy those video games and pinball machines that we used to love.
There is an army behind us. Depending on how far you want to go down, how big the army is, but there is an army and they all pitch in and help. Couldn't do it. It was just a couple of us. We could not do this without hiring a bunch of people. So.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Mark.
All right. You're welcome.
Patrons receive ad-free and early access to content after the episode commentary, and of course, your name in the credits. If you liked that episode, here's a few more you might enjoy, and I thank you for your support.
End of line.